Meetings and retirement will please come to order. It is Tuesday, February 24th, 2026, 5:30 p.m. We are in room G15 at the State Capitol Building, and I want to welcome everybody here. We're going to have a great session, and we are going to get out of here within 90 minutes. We have a couple things we want to cover first. The accommodations for changing the room. I want to thank everybody for being flexible. As you know, the Capitol is going through some changes with security. This is what the consensus was, and this is our plan to hold Pension Commission hearings here for this entire session. Happy to take input, including the applause from Senator Westland. We'd also like to take a minute before we approve the minutes to introduce a couple new faces. First, I'm very proud to introduce the new LCPR Commission Assistant, Molly Pearson. She's replacing the inestimably talented Lisa Dieslin. I know you'll do fantastic. Molly, if you don't mind introducing yourself and saying hello to everybody and maybe a tiny bit about why you would want to do something crazy like work here.
Yeah, hello, my name's Molly Pearson. I'm very excited to be here today. I graduated from St. Catherine University in May with degrees in economics and sociology. And I'm here because although pensions may not be the most exciting topic, they're very important. So I'm excited to contribute.
Thank you, Molly. Welcome aboard. As many of you know, we're going to say farewell to Representative Dan Wolgamott, who did a sensational job in his work on the LCPR. Wish Dan the very best. He's got some other stuff in the hopper. That's not part of the LCPR agenda, but reach out to him if you want to say thanks for all his work. But the flip side is thrilled to welcome Representative Pete Johnson. Representative Johnson, welcome aboard LCPR. If you don't mind saying a quick hello and maybe a little bit about yourself and why you wanted to get talked into pensions.
Thank you, Chair. Pete Johnson, representative out of District 8A, which is central and western Duluth. My first term as a legislator was elected in 2024. Pensions was one of my top choices. Much to Molly's point, it does make a huge difference in people's lives. And my day job up in Duluth, I'm a firefighter for the city up there and have been lobbying for improving and protecting pensions for a lot of years, and look forward to continuing that work and learn more. So thank you for having me.
Thank you, Representative. Any member of the public safety community is welcome on LCPR. I really appreciate you being willing to serve. We're going to do great work. With that, Representative Johnson, you've been here a while. Are you willing to move the approval of the previous meeting minutes?
I move the minutes.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Johnson moves approval of the May 17th, 2025 minutes. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. The motion prevails and the minutes are adopted. Ladies and gentlemen, you have the agenda there in front of you. The first item that we're going to go to is the annual update by the Commission Actuary. Mr. Schulte must be here somewhere from VIA Actuarial Services. And Ms. Knutson also. Members, this is the report we take from our beloved actuaries. Welcome back to LCPR. You have the floor. Please present your material.
Chair, friends, commission members, glad to be here. Once again, Mark Schulte from VIA Actuarial. With me is my colleague Emily Knutson. We're the commission's retained actuaries, and we have a brief report today just to summarize some of the work we've been doing for the commission over the past year or so and touch on a couple of
Mr. Schulte, is the microphone on?
Oh.
You might need to be a tiny bit closer.
Okay.
I'm getting major
Can you hear me
pushback.
now?
Yeah.
All right. We'll get this. Anyway, we will have a brief presentation, realize there's a lot to cover, and have some actuarial topics we thought would be of interest to the commission. With that, I'd like to turn it over to my colleague, Emily Knutson, to start us off.
Ms. Knutson, welcome back. Fire away.
Chair, friends, commission members, my name is Emily Knutson. I am an actuarial consultant with VIA Actuarial Solutions. To start, we want to provide the LCPR a brief refresher about how all the parties responsible for overseeing the statewide pension systems are related. Pension systems, retained actuaries, LCPR, and the LCPR's actuary all have important roles in strengthening and administering Minnesota statewide pension systems. The pension systems have retained actuaries responsible for preparing annual valuation reports, experience studies, and other measurements required by statutes or requested by the systems. As the LCPR's actuary, we provide independent actuarial advice and another perspective to the LCPR. Examples of our work include actuarial audits and replications, review of actuarial assumptions, expert testimony, and legislative cost analysis. The LCPR is responsible for guiding pension legislative proposals based on information from the systems as well as us, your actuary. This is an overview of the projects we worked on during the 2025 session. Each year, we replicate the actuarial valuations for a subset of the statewide plans. Each plan should be reviewed every 3 to 5 years. This type of actuarial audit is a best practice to ensure that actuarial liabilities and funding calculations are producing accurate results. Last year, we completed the replications for TRA and St. Paul teachers. We delivered reports at the end of the session, which confirmed that we were able to independently match the calculations and the reports were accurate. We actually matched the liability within 1% for both plans. We also reviewed the actuarial experience studies for the PERA correctional and police and fire plans, as well as the MSRS correctional, state patrol, and judges plans. We recommended that the LCPR approve the recommended assumption updates. We also provided legislative costing analysis as requested. Last session, this included TRA retirement date change proposals and deferred vested early retirement enhancements. We also provided testimony on proposed benefit changes and changes to the amortization methods. We'll go into more detail on the amortization methods later in the presentation. This session will be completing valuation replications for MSRS General, State Patrol, Correctional, and Judges. We have reviewed the data and started work on the liability calculations. We'll have those reports by the end of the fiscal year. We'll also prepare cost estimates of proposed legislation and provide expert testimony on actuarial topics as requested and as those come up. Unless the commission has questions for me, I will turn it back over to Mark to review some relevant actuarial topics for this session.
Thanks, Ms. Knutson. Mr. Schulte.
Chair Friends, Commission members, so some actuarial topics we wanted to bring up this year. One has to do with an issue that was discussed a lot last year, which was amortization methods, and that really is how the pension deficits are paid down over time. And there was a work group in 2024, legislation passed last year to help update Minnesota statutes so that we're using contemporary methods to do this. And it's important because Minnesota pension plans are what are known as fixed rate plans. The contributions for employees and employers are set in statute and they don't change very frequently. So we got to have some sort of yardstick to make sure that they are sufficient over the long term to help fund these pensions. And so that's where we have these Chapter 356 required contribution rates, which are based on actuarial principles but hadn't been updated in many decades. So after the work group and the legislation that was passed, we now have a very contemporary way of using or developing a new yardstick to measure the contribution rates and whether they are sufficient or not. And probably one of the biggest changes too is it's very transparent. So I thought I'd do a quick snip from one of the actuarial valuations this year to show the fruits of the labor, so to speak. And this is just a snip from the MSRS general plan. And there's a lot of numbers here, but I'd like to look at the table. The first row is labeled the initial unfunded liability as of June 30, 2024. So that's our starting point, and it's about a $500 million unfunded liability at that time that was being amortized over 24 years. So that's where the system was, or the plan was, as of June 30, 24. At the very bottom, in column 5, I think it would be the current amount, is just under $1 billion of unfunded liability at June 30, 2025, the next valuation, the most recent valuation. And so what this table does is sort of illustrate how did we get from a $500 million unfunded liability to a $989 million unfunded liability. And it just breaks it down. There's about $350 million unexpected demographic loss due to things usually like salary updates that were unexpected. The asset gain, a negative amount of $553 million, helps offset the unfunded liability. But then there were some benefit changes approved last year that then increased the unfunded liability. So this kind of goes stepwise through all the changes year to year. And I just find it very helpful so that if anyone has questions over time, they can refer to it. It won't be looking at it on a daily basis, but it should provide a lot more transparency as to how systems funded status is changing. And this is available in all the actuarial reports now. So I just wanted to bring that up to make sure that commissioners were aware of this is how that amortization change is being put into practice. Next slide, slide 9, we thought it would be interesting also, you're going to hear a lot of details from the individual systems after us about funded status and their actuarial valuation results. And we thought it'd be interesting to put all the systems on one slide. So there's sort of a reference point to see how they compare just in size, not only on participant counts, but their funded status, their contribution sufficiency or deficiency. These are just ordered by participant count from largest to smallest, but I thought it was interesting statistics about how, PERA General has the largest participant count, but is about the same size in terms of assets and liabilities as TRA, say, and just how the funded status is has been improving quite a bit for all the systems. We see a lot of them in the 80s, 90s, over 100% for one of the plans now. So if the Commission's ever interested in seeing more aggregated statistics like this, to let us know, because it's something that I think provides a big macro perspective of the pension health in Minnesota. If there's any questions on that, otherwise I'll turn to the last item, and it has to do with pension surplus. So really going back to those improving funded statuses, oftentimes pension plans aren't anticipating, what do we do when we get to 100% funded? And quite often the reaction is, well, we're going to start improving benefits right away, or we'll cut contribution rates right away. And just want to make sure that Commission is aware of an issue brief that was published a couple years ago by the American Academy of Actuaries Public Pension Committee that detailed some other considerations, just to make sure that there's a large perspective on this. And the key takeaways include that surplus from the point of view of a pension system isn't what we usually think of the word surplus, sort of an extra amount that is there to be spent right away. It just means that these plans are long-term ahead of their funding target. They can fall back behind that 100% target very quickly. And so it's a matter of getting to that target and then staying pretty close to it over time and making decisions that don't put that funded status in jeopardy. So in plain language, don't necessarily immediately spend the pension surplus if and when you get there. That might be the decision, is to use that to improve benefits, but just to make some other considerations. And the ones this issue brief really focus on are validating key assumptions, that you're approaching decisions from very certain that the funded status measurements are up to date based on contemporary assumptions. All the Minnesota statewide plans do an experience study every 4 to 5 years with their actuaries that really provide a great basis for that. So I think they're doing a good job there. There is also a consideration of, do you even want to take a slightly conservative view, build up a funding cushion so that you have some prudent decision markers. Other risk reduction strategies is, once you reach 100% funded, there should probably be a conversation with, what is our long-term investment portfolio risk that we want to take on? Some systems decide we want to stay with a pretty aggressive investment allocation to get as many investment earnings as possible. Others decide we might want to dial back that risk so we have less volatility in the future. Just issues that the pension systems, the Commission, and the SBI should be discussing. Then we get to contribution adjustments, carefully considering if benefit levels have been reduced in the past, how are those potentially made up? Contribution rates, if they have been increased, how do we get those to target levels, and what does that even mean? So just a number of considerations as these plans reach 100%, and many of them are well on their way to it, that should be considered along the way. And with that, I'll open it up if there's any questions on the materials. We just thought those issues might be of interest to the Commission this year.
Thank you very much, Mr. Schulte, Ms. Knutson. Members' questions? Representative Nadeau.
Mr. Chair, and can you go back to page 8? I was just curious. I was trying to follow and look at this and understand it. And the initial amount, and then you've got the current amount that you've circled. They're very similar. What am I missing?
Thanks, Representative. Is that Mr. Schulte?
Chair France, Representative Nadeau, that's a great question. So the initial amount column is when that unfunded liability was initially created. So other than the first amount, all of those were created June 30, 2025. So the current amount is the same for everything except the first row. Next year, the initial amount won't change, but that current amount will go down. It's sort of the remaining, essentially outstanding balance on, say, like your mortgage. And I know the mortgage analogy isn't quite right, but you've had this debt, how much is left the next year? The first row is actually really interesting because the initial amount, $513 million, is as of June 30, 2024, and it actually went up as of June 30, 25. And that's one of the problems with the old required contribution rates, is that they were amortized over such a long period. In this case, it started at 25 years, that you actually don't start paying that debt down initially. It grows at first. It's a negative amortization because the payments are less than the interest on the debt. And eventually, in a few years, that should start to go down as well. So it's a great point that the first row has some kind of counterintuitive results, but that's exactly what we're trying to get away from with the new layered amortizations.
Representative Nadeau.
And thank you. And just one more question, and it has to do with the, kind of at the last page. Should we be afraid of getting close to 100% fully funding? I know that there's a lot of views on this, but from an actuarial standpoint, I mean, is there a reason that we should be afraid of being 100% funded?
Mr. Schulte.
Chair France, Rep. Nadeau, I don't know if being afraid of it, but generally as plans approach 100% funded, that's when everybody wants to increase benefits. And it's totally natural that, you know, we're getting close to 100%. Let's start revisiting some of these decisions that were made over the past few years. Sometimes it's fine if there's a contribution sufficiency, maybe there's room for some benefit improvements. But there's also cautionary tales, say in the late 90s, where pension plans looked very well funded. They made big benefit increases. And then we had the dot-com bust, and many pension systems still haven't recovered from that. So I think the overarching theme in the actuarial community is just be cautious. You know, think things through. The actuaries at the systems generally do a great job of evaluating potential changes of how this could affect things, not also just immediately, but down the road as well.
Thank you.
Thanks, Representative Nadeau. Other member questions for our outstanding actuaries? To Representative Nadeau's point, I think one of the toughest jobs on the Pension Commission is the question of generational equity. So you get to 100%, hey, we could do a benefit improvement. But does that put at risk younger plan participants or the next generation of teachers, cops, or firefighters? Kind of. On the other hand, if you do not make a benefit improvement, let's say you want to be more conservative, put it off for a few years, there's a certain number of plan participants who will die without ever getting any benefits. And of course, these plans are their money, contributions that they and their employer made. So my 2 cents is that that's really the toughest question, is not just can you make a benefit improvement, but for whom and when. So that's why we have LCPR and its talented, hardworking members. Last chance for questions for VIA. Seeing none. Unless Ms. Lincheski wants to make a comment, which I kind of feel like she does.
Thank you, Chair Friends. I just wanted to note to the commission that we have this amazing website that we work really hard to keep updated. It's lcpr.mn.gov. It has at a drop-down under actuarial, all of the actuarial reports for many, many years, all of the experience studies. So if you have any questions about any of this and you want to dig in for yourself, they're all there, available online.
Thank you, Ms. Lincheski. And speaking of digging in yourself, members, you probably know that we have $30,000 in our own LCPR actuarial account. So if any members want to do some costing out of proposals, we have actuaries that we can do separately if we want. And that was thanks to Chair Herr a few years ago, who set aside $100,000. With that, last chance for questions. Thank you, Mr. Schulte. Thank you, Ms. Knutson. Next, we're going to have annual updates by our pension fund executive directors. We're going to go in this order, if this helps the members of the audience. First, Minnesota State Retirement System, Ms. Leonard, Mr. Bangen, you can come forward. After that, we'll have PERA, after that TRA, and after that St. Paul Teachers. So that's our working order here. Ms. Leonard, Mr. Vangen, long time no see. Welcome back to LCPR. Thanks for your work. Please introduce yourself and present your testimony.
Sure. Good evening, Chair Frentz and members. My name is Erin Leonard. I'm the Executive Director of the Minnesota State Retirement System. And with me is...
Good evening, Chair, friends, and members. My name is Jenkins Vangen. I'm the Legislative Liaison for the MSRS.
All right. So we will just dive in. Our goal today is to just remind you about, it's been a little while since we've been here at Pension Commission, remind you about MSRS plans and our governance, talk about our funded status for our plans, give you some details by plan, and then also go through our 2026 legislative agenda that's been adopted by our Board of Directors. So in total, MSRS is responsible for over $37 billion. That includes our 5 traditional pension defined benefit plans, as well as plans that are optional for other public employees, the Minnesota Deferred Compensation Plan and the Healthcare Savings Plan. And then we have a couple smaller defined contribution plans. One is the unclassified plan, which is available to legislators, constitutional officers, certain officials in the state, and then the Hennepin County plan, which is very small and closed. So the good news this year is the State Board of Investment achieved a 10.9% rate of return, which far exceeds our 7% return that we're expecting and planning on when we prepare our valuations. So you'll see some really positive results because of that. The other thing I'm kind of mentioning, piggybacking off of what the VIA actuaries were saying is, I like to look at the history because pensions are a very long-term thing. MSRS general plan has been around since 1929. And so here's just a line chart of our funded history for our plans on a market value basis. So the top line is our general employees retirement plan, 98.4% funded. And you can see that in 2007, we were similarly situated from a funding perspective, but we were also taking on much more risk than we do today. So at that point, we were assuming an 8.5% return assumption. So while they look the same when you look at a line chart, the results are actually very different, and we're in a much better funded position now because of some of the changes that have been taking place over the last 20 years, including that lower risk associated with the investment return. The other thing I just want to note about all these funding results I'm going to share is that they include all those provisions that were adopted in 2025 by this commission and this legislature. So we have all of our changes to assumptions for the public safety plans. There is also a change to the combined service annuity load that this commission adopted, the changes to layered amortization. We did have benefit improvements for our general employees retirement plan, a 1.9% multiplier prospectively and a 1.75% post-retirement increase for our retirees. We did have some benefit improvements for our state patrol plan that were funded with an appropriation that we receive each year. And then we did extend the funding supplemental contributions for certain plans that were, that funding was scheduled to expire at 100% funded, and we moved it to 110% funded for 3 years. So adding some more conservatism into that when we get those supplemental funding dollars. So first is our general employees retirement plan. I'll probably go through this one a little bit more deeply, and then quickly go through the other plans because they're all very, very much similar from the data perspective. So this is the plan that most state employees are in, including Metro Transit, Met Council folks, and then the University of Minnesota Civil Service. So total of 138,000 participants, 57,000 active. As I already mentioned, 98.4% funded on a market value basis. So that means on June 30th, on that day, we had 98.4% of the assets we needed to pay current and future benefits. So a really good place to be, close to that 100% mark. And we are projected to be fully funded in 2029. Current contributions are 12.25%, that's fixed in statute, 6% from the employee and 6.25% from the employer. Our actuaries calculate that the required contributions are 11.64, which means we have a contribution sufficiency. So we have a strong funded ratio, we have a contribution sufficiency, which means we're pre-funding current benefits for the future. And then we're projected to be fully funded prior to our amortization date of 2048. So all three measurements are very positive for this plan. The correctional plan, similar, the funded ratio is 82.8%, projected to be fully funded by 2037, which is also ahead of schedule. and a contribution of 2.97%, or sufficiency of 2.97% on an actuarial value. That is a smaller sufficiency than it's larger for this plan, but if we didn't have the supplemental funding of 4.45% that's currently in statute, this plan would have a deficiency in their contributions. So that supplemental funding is quite important for the correctional plan. They are at a 1.5% fixed post-retirement increase for their retirees. State Patrol Plan, one of our smaller plans. The active population is just over 1,000, and this includes the troopers, conservation officers, BCA agents, and other licensed police officers in the state of Minnesota that work for the state. 87.8% funded and on track to be funded by 2032. This also, you will see very high contribution rates for this plan, but they are not coordinated with Social Security, so they're not paying into Social Security. This is their primary retirement benefit when they do retire. And there's a supplemental contribution of 7%, and then those appropriations, there's a couple different, there's the $2.3 million for post-retirement increases and a couple $1 million buckets that we get contributions. That's an equivalent of 2.4%. So if we didn't have those two supplemental dollars and the percentages, their contribution sufficiency would not be very large. And so just keeping that in mind for this plan, we want to make sure we keep that additional funding. And then they did get that post-retirement increase slightly higher to 1.25%, and that was funded by the appropriation. Judges is another small plan, lower funded ratio, a long history with judges that I could bore you with all night, but I won't. They were not a pre-funded plan until 1992. So they were about 20 years behind every other plan when we started pre-funding for contributions. They've made good progress. They have adopted a lower set of benefits for new judges since 2013, but we're just keep plugging away to get ahead, but they do have a contribution sufficiency and a post-retirement increase of 1.5% fixed. The other plans that we administer, the legislators plan, we have 6 active legislators still in that plan. It was closed in 1997, pay as you go, so not a very sustainable structure, and that's why it was closed. I mentioned the unclassified and the deferred compensation and healthcare savings plan. The deferred compensation plan is available to all Minnesota public employees. We have over $11 billion in that program. And then the healthcare savings plan is also available to all Minnesota public employees, and we have over $2.4 billion. This is just a snapshot of things I've already shared, but I just like to put everything on one page because when you have multiple plans, it's nice to present it in one page. For our 2026 legislative agenda, we have an administrative bill, which we typically have each year to kind of clean up little things in our statute. There's one more substantial change in our administrative bill this go round. We have a sub-plan as part of our general plan for fire marshals in the state. The way the sub-plan works today is the employer has to provide them an election to participate in the plan. Unfortunately, 2 individuals were missed and they didn't get that election. And so we want to go back and correct that for these 2 individuals retroactively, as well as change it so that we don't have an election and everybody just that fits the job duties of a fire marshal for the state will be in the plan. The other piece of legislation that we will be working on is the adoption of the probation and 911 telecommunicators work group recommendations. So you may recall that in 2025, the legislature charged many people from different stakeholder groups to look at a potential plan for probation officers and 911 telecommunicators. The state employee plans and the stakeholders agreed on a sub-plan under our general plan. So it's about 429 people that would become part of this program. They have all the same benefit provisions as our general plan, except for an early retirement or a full retirement age of age 60 instead of age 66. The cost of this, based on what our actuaries have calculated, is about 4.71% of pay, which is approximately $1.7 million per year. Our board has adopted a position to support the legislation, and we're working with stakeholders on moving that forward. So that is the end of our presentation. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Leonard. Well done. Members' questions? Seeing none. Thank you very much, both of you, for the presentation. Next, we'll have Doug Anderson and Amy Strenge for PERA. So this is. Mr. Anderson, Ms. Strenge, long time no see. Thanks for coming. Please present your testimony.
Good evening, Chair, friends, Commission members. I'm Doug Anderson, Executive Director for PERA.
Good evening, Commission members. I'm Amy Strenge, the Policy Coordinator for PERA.
And we thank you for this opportunity to give you an update about PERA and the funding status of our plan and our legislative initiatives for this year. To start with an overview, we have 5 plans that contain PERA members: a general plan, correctional plan, police and fire plan, a defined contribution plan for elected officials, and the statewide volunteer fire plan. The 186,000 actives, 140,000 annuitants, and 47 billion in assets, those are just for the general plan, correctional plan, and police and fire plan. All those are at record high levels. We're governed by an 11-member board of trustees, 5 appointed by the governor, 5 are elected by the members and the state auditor. We currently are waiting for the governor to make 2 appointments, and the elected positions are all up for election in early 2027. This is a summary of just the head counts and average monthly benefit. I'm just going to point out a few, one highlight from each plan, what makes them kind of unique. In our general plan, the plan consists roughly half of city and county employees, and the other half are school employees who are not teachers. And those consist of a lot of short-term, part-time employees. So we have a lot of deferred members, either vested deferred or non-vested deferred. So that's what's kind of unique about this plan. So a lot of members with very small balances, and that's why our average monthly benefit is relatively small compared to most general plan member type plans. Police and fire plan has a much higher number of disability retirements than most public safety plans throughout the country. So that's an issue that we've been talking about for quite a few years. And the correctional plan also has a high number of deferred members, not because they're part-time like the general plan, but just because there's high turnover in that plan, very high turnover, which does have an impact on our costs, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. In addition to those 3 cost-sharing plans, we have these other non-cost-sharing plans. So we have the statewide volunteer firefighter plan. Even though we call it a plan, it's really a collection of over 300 individual plans. And that has been growing pretty rapidly in recent years. I noted earlier, we have a defined contribution plan for elected officials. And then the other 2 plans do not technically have PERA members, but we do have administrative responsibilities to kind of help the State Board of Investment with the accounting of those 2 plans. Here's a snapshot of our financial health, and I think of this kind of like a journey. The funding ratio tells you where you're at. The funding sufficiency or deficiency tells you how fast you're going, and really how fast you're going right now, not about how fast you're going in the future. And the projected full funding date tells you when you get there. So our plans, all 3 are over 90% funded. That's the first time in at least 25 years we've seen that. All plans are expected to get better and have a finite full funding date. The funding sufficiency is the contributions in excess of what is needed to fully fund the plan by 2048. That's the typical definition. You may notice or wonder why we can have a funding sufficiency in the police and fire plan, but not be fully funded by 2051. And that's because that funding sufficiency does change from year to year. There are contributions that can change, and now, because of the layered amortization, the amortization of the unfunded can change too. So I'll describe that in a moment. This provides a little bit more of the detail of what's on the previous page, and I would just point to the funding sufficiency information. So this is an example of where the funding sufficiency changes over time. Currently in this plan, there's an employer contribution of 7.5%. What that is really 6.5% plus an additional 1% the employers have been contributing for many years, and that 1% goes away when this plan reaches 98% funded, which is not, if all assumptions are met, is not that far from the future. We have a contribution coming from the city of Minneapolis for when the MRF plan merged in many years ago. That contribution stops in 2031. So at that time, so the rate of contributions coming in is going to slow down in this plan. And then I'll talk about the amortization component in a moment. Similarly, the police and fire plan, there's contributions that, two separate contributions that come in from Minneapolis for when the Minneapolis police relief and the Minneapolis fire relief were merged in. And now there are 3 separate state contributions that come in. All are fixed amounts, fixed dollar amounts, which means that they are expected to decrease as a % of payroll over time. So our total statutory contribution rate will go down over time when the Minneapolis contributions go away and as the other contributions are less as a % of pay. So this is part of that explanation of where the 1.4% sufficiency isn't enough to really fully fund the plan by the 2048 full funding date. And then we have the correctional plan, which is one of those plans that is in a good position, 105% funded with a 4.8% funding sufficiency. So in a very good place at the moment. I do have an exhibit as well about how the amortization methodology works. And I'll spare the detail on the bottom half because you heard from that from the LCPR's actuary. But I want to note that the top row shows what would be known if there was not the layered amortization methodology. So if there's no change, all we would know about this balance is that there's a $1.6 billion balance to be paid off over 23 years with an annual amount of $108 million, which is 7.5% of pay. That's all we would know. But with the increased transparency, we now know from the past year all the pieces that made up that balance. So they add to the same total, $1.6 billion, same total, just shown in different components that are paid off in different periods of time. They just happen to kind of offset each other this year, so it didn't look much different in the aggregate, but it provides that history that we now will be able to go back and see what exactly is the unfunded covering. And then this is a visual representation of all those numbers on the previous page. The biggest component is the legacy unfunded amount. It then also shows there are positive amortization pieces, negative amortization pieces. The solid black line is the total. And you can see that after 15 years, there's a change where it gets a little higher. After 20 years, there's another change where it gets a little higher. After 23 years, everything's paid off. It goes down to 0. And we don't ever do any presentation to any group, our trustees, our stakeholders, or to our individual meetings with you without talking about our scorecard. We've been using this for quite a while. We like to use it because it allows us to talk using consistent language, consistent numbers for all our plans, for all the groups that we talk to about. So I'm not going to go into the detail of each component. Just want to point out that we have these 5 questions that don't change from year to year. We rely on metrics like funding ratios, replacement ratios, and so forth that don't change from year to year. We now have developed some goals to clearly define what PERA considers to be success. You know, what does it take to get that green circle? We've defined that on the following page. And what does change from year to year, of course, is when the actuary gives us new measurements of those metrics, that changes. And then occasionally we have our trustees subjectively change what we think we're doing, whether it's success a caution or a concern. And this is what we use, again, for communication, but also to help set priorities for each plan. So whenever we approach every legislative session and talk about what should we do, what do the stakeholders want to do, or what does PERA want to initiate, we rely pretty heavily on this scorecard. And the last thing I'll close with is I'm just going to note briefly a couple of the goals that we identified. One is to make sure we're on track to improve to 100% funded within within a short time frame. But another one is with contributions. We want the member and employer contributions to be within 5% of the normal cost. Because we talk about when a plan becomes overfunded, we rarely talk about that. We always talk about underfunding. And with an underfunded plan, it always means the current generation of members and taxpayers are paying for a prior, services a prior generation received. If it's overfunded, you have the opposite. You have where the current generation is paying, well, the opposite. I lost track of my thoughts. So it's the opposite, right? It's the opposite. I'll leave it at that. And lastly, we often talk about trying to put the post-retirement increases, tying it closer to inflation. So when we have an overfunded plan, we come back to these goals that we have in mind to determine what we want to do with the plan. I'll turn it over to Ms. Strange.
I'm happy to talk to you about our legislative initiatives and agenda for this coming session. One is an initiative that the LCPR has seen before, which is our pre-retirement survivor benefit recodification. It's a mouthful. Essentially, what we're doing is recodifying and standardizing our PERA pre-retirement survivor benefits. And I want to shout out to LCPR staff for helping us work on this language. It is difficult, it is mind-numbing, and I appreciate their help as we navigate that. The next change deals with our statewide volunteer firefighter plan. Over the past couple of years, we have had more members or more participants join, and we've looked at how to maintain an efficient administration. So these changes focus on administrative deadlines and consequences, administrative changes, and also policy changes relating to our monthly benefit plans and defined contribution plans converting to defined benefit plans. Happy to talk about that later. The next change that we're looking at is we're seeking legislation that clarifies Minnesota paid leave payments are not eligible salary. And in doing so, we're also looking at how our statute treats authorized leaves and supplemental pay. Currently, there are thresholds. We're getting rid of them. And so what that will mean is that any supplemental salary put into sick time, vacation time will be eligible salary for PERA purposes. The next change that we have is a really positive change for the correctional plan and really a model for how we want to approach any of our changes. We are proposing to reduce the member contributions from 6.83% to 6% and employer contributions from 10.25% to 9%. This maintains that 60-40 split that exists between the employer and the employee, and we're also going to be asking for the maximum to be increased from 2.5% to 3%. This still maintains a sufficiency within the plan and maintains the funded status that we have. I'm
Ms. Strange?
also happy.
I think some members may have a different sheet for this one. Did we make a change in the packet?
We just made a change. It went from 2025 because I got stuck last year. Now we're in 2026. And then the correctional plan was addressed in February, not December. And so the presentation, I believe, before you reflects those changes. The presentation in your packet does not.
Got it. Thank you.
Yep. Finishing up the correctional plan change, we are confident about this change as we have worked with all stakeholders. Employer groups are supportive of this change. Active member groups are supportive of this change, and so are retiree groups. So it's kind of the model that we achieve. Lastly, I want to note, relating to that working group, the recommendation for the working group to create a new plan for PERA for 911 telecommunicators and probation officers. The PERA Board of Trustees abstained from taking a position on whether or not this new plan should be created for probation officers and public safety telecommunicators. We did review the recommendations and did conclude that the work group recommendations are consistent with pension policy, IRS requirements, and PERA's board's long-term positions. happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Ms. Stringy. Members' questions? Senator Nelson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to be clear on page 13, which you just went over. So I realize the date is 2025, but of course, the date can be updated easily with, just 4 little points, 2026. I want to know if these 4 initiatives that are on the 2025 sheet that we have in our packets, are those the legislative initiatives that you are putting forward?
Yes, the only change is that the correctional plan, the board did not approve that in December. The board approved it in February.
Okay.
That's the only change to that.
Thank you. Thank you
Senator
very much.
Nelson, you're good. Thank you, Ms. Stringy. Members' questions? Representative Johnson and then Representative Lilly. Representative Johnson.
Thank you, Chair. Just a quick question on the police and fire funding deficiency versus sufficiency. You guys have it at 1.4 sufficiency. The actuarials had it, unless it was a typo, 1.48 isn't it deficiency? Just if there's clarification on that, or if it's just a typo on one of them.
Thank you, Representative. Maybe Mr. Anderson?
Mr. Chair, Representative Johnson, yes. So it's a difference between whether you're using market value of assets or the actuarial value of assets in that funding sufficiency measurement. So when, in our packet, when we talk about it, we are exclusively using market value of assets, in our opinion, because we know exactly what that is. Actuarial value of assets currently is lagging behind market value because it's only recognizing 20% of last year's gains and 40% of the gains from 2 years ago and 60% of the gains from 3 years ago. It's not recognizing the gains very fast. So again, we like to use market value because we think it represents a much more accurate current number, but that's the entire difference between what you're seeing in our funding sufficiency of 1.4% versus what was in the packet from the actuary.
Thanks, Mr. Anderson. Good, Representative Johnson. Representative Lilly.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for meeting today. I appreciate it. It was kind of a quick meeting, but I did mention I just love this page where they kind of said what's great and what's not. And our meeting was rather quick, so I just can't remember on the general. And maybe you mentioned it today, and I didn't catch it, so it's a little on me. Why is the contribution 157% again? And that's all. So
Thanks, Representative. Maybe Mr. Anderson.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, Representative Lilly, yes, that goes back to the shared sacrifice era of ranging barely back all the way to 2010, 2013, when there were various changes that increased both the employee member contributions and the employer contributions. So they were asked to, and retirees made sacrifices too by lower post-retirement increases at that time, but the contribution rates were elevated quite a bit because the plan was in a pretty low funded status, and there needed to be a period of time to accelerate and improve the funding status, which is what happened. It's put the plan on a much faster path than 2048. So it has worked to this point, but it's currently a very high level and one that we want to see addressed when the plan is in a good position to do so, which is getting closer to that point.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Representative Lilly, you're good. Other member questions? Thank you both very much. Excellent presentation. We're going to need a cool name for these Olympic circle rings, but not tonight. And with that, we're now going to go to the Teachers Retirement Association. Mr. Maurer and Ms. Dayton, if you could come forward, please. Welcome back to LCPR. If you could introduce yourself and present your testimony.
All right. Thank you, Chair, friends, LCPR members. My name is Tim Maurer. I'm the Executive Director of the Teachers Retirement Association, and with me is...
Good evening. I'm Holly Dayton. I'm the Legislative Liaison for TRA.
Okay, and we're going to just touch upon some of our membership and benefit data. We'll look at our valuation results, our contribution sufficiency and deficiency numbers, and then Holly's going to cover our legislative agenda for this upcoming year. So starting with a quick overview of our membership, TRA currently has about 86,000 active members, which include our eligible school district employees, TRA staff, and certain faculty in Minnesota State. We also have 70,000 benefit recipients, which includes those who are drawing retirement benefits, survivor benefits, and disability benefits. and 62,000 inactive members, of which 20,000 are vested. So those 20,000 will be eligible for a future retirement benefit at some point. Our TRA pays a median monthly benefit of just over $2,400 a month. And in fiscal '25, we had an average starting monthly benefit of $2,456 per month with an average final monthly salary of $6,108. So we are providing an income replacement of about 40%. And that's with pension dollars only. TRA is a coordinated plan with the vast majority of our members also being eligible for Social Security benefits. And of course, those numbers aren't included or reflected into that income replacement ratio. Moving on to some of our financials, on an actuarial value of assets, which of course is our less volatile measurement, as Doug just mentioned, it's smooth gains and losses over a 5-year period. TRA saw our asset values increase from $28.3 billion to $30.2 billion, thus dropping our unfunded liability from $7.1 billion to $6.8, and improving our funding ratio on an actuarial value from 79.9% to 81.6%. Jumping ahead, using that same valuation results only on a market value of assets, we also saw our financial position improve with our asset value growing from $29.1 billion to $31.3 billion, our unfunded liability dropping from $6.4 billion to $5.7 billion, and an improvement in our market value funding ratio from 82.1% to 84.5%. The next slide we have is just a chart to show TRA's funding ratio over the past 25 years, and that's using an actuarial value of assets. You can see that that number has moved around from time to time, but I think the main point of it is we are currently at 81.6%, and as long as we continue to hit that 7% rate of return, we are scheduled to be fully funded in 2040. So that line will continue to go up, and then we will hit that 100% mark in 2040. So that is, definitely a reflection of the positive market returns that we've had over the past few years. And of course, included in those periods of time, as Erin mentioned, was the reduction in the interest rate assumption from 8.5% down to 7%.
Mr. Chairman.
Senator
I
Pappas.
hate to interrupt, but I just wanted to, on this page, when we talked about earlier about when you can be at 100%, you don't necessarily stay at 100%.
Yep.
And I think that's a real cautionary note as we looked at that big decline and then starting to climb back up again.
Thank you, Senator Pappas. Ms. Lincheski and I were just discussing the way the market affects some of this, so excellent point. Please continue.
Thanks, Chair. I think the next slide I have is some of our valuation results as a reflection of contribution sufficiency and deficiency. As you can see, TRA currently has a sufficiency of 0.44% on an actuarial value of assets, and that's actually up from a negative 1.25% number that we had last year. And we currently have a market value contribution sufficiency of 1.59%, and that is actually up from 0.51% that we were at last year. So both our actuarial and market value contribution sufficiencies have increased. One of the pieces of information we get from our actuaries is some sensitivity analysis, and I think this reflects to the point that was just made as it relates to the impact market returns can have on our funding ratio, whether it be plus or minus, and how quickly we become fully funded. So the blue line in the middle represents TRA's funding, our path to 100% funding if we continue to make 7% every year. So we're hitting our market assumptions every year, and as I said, at that point, we would become fully funded in 2040. However, if we were to have a really good year, and let's say have a 14% year, then make 7% going forward from that day forward, and that's the black line on the top, as you can see, we would become fully funded around 2033. So having that one double year has a huge impact on how quickly we would get fully funded. On the transverse side of that, on the other side of that, of course, is if we had a 0% year and then went to 7% going forward, that's the red or orange line on the bottom. You can see we don't become fully funded at the end of the chart, which is 2024. We're close to 90%, or excuse me, about 95%. So we would still be headed in the right direction, but we would not reach full funding by that point. And I think just, again, the importance of the chart just showing how much that market return assumption impacts your full funding date and how sensitive those numbers are. The last slide is our layered amortization schedule that we had from our valuation. It was put together by our actuaries, and it's our July 1st, 2025 actuarial valuation. Again, you guys have talked about this a little bit already tonight, but I'll say the first two columns are our legacy unfunded liability and the benefit changes that took place last year. Those were amortized out still through 2048, so they have a 23-year remaining period. And then the other three terms are the other layers and their expenses in the appropriate layer, with, of course, the biggest one being the experience of 2025, which is the substantial market rate of return that we had from investments. So that is our biggest contributor within that. The assumption change is just a very small change that we had, and that was due to the CSA load factor changes from last year. So a very small change in that, but that was our assumption change. And I guess at that point, I'm going to hand it over to Holly to talk about our legislative agenda for this year.
Ms. Dayton, thanks. Welcome back to the committee.
Thank you. Good to
Please
be here.
present.
All right, thank you, Director Maurer. So as the other funds have done, I'll just do a high-level overview of what our board has approved for legislative initiatives this year, and then I'm sure we'll be meeting with many of you one-on-one, and I'm sure we'll also be back in this room, it sounds like, going into more detail as session goes on. So the first item our board has asked us to pursue is to permit physician assistants to submit medical documentation for disability applications, and this is to improve the process for our members. The second piece, and our intent is that this will be contained in one bill together, is two items relating to our return to work provisions for individuals who retire from TRA, begin drawing a benefit, and then return to work afterwards. We refer to them as our reemployed annuitants. So the first item would be to continue the suspension of their earnings limitation through the year 2030. Currently, it is set to sunset in 2027. And the second piece is to lower the age at which a retiring teacher can enter into a return to work agreement with their employer, reduce that age from 62 to 59 and a half. And then the other bullet items are just some other small technical changes. So similar to what PERA mentioned, we'd like to clarify the ineligibility of Minnesota paid leave payments for pension salary purposes. And then very exciting, we are looking to move the joint and survivor interest rate used to computate those benefits from statute into the LCPR's appendix to the standards. And that is what we have prepared.
Thank you for that. Nicely done. Members, questions for our good friends from TRA? Seeing none. Thank you, Mr. Maurer. Thank you, Ms. Dayton. Really appreciate it. Final agenda item for us as far as the annual updates would be St. Paul teachers, Mr. Tencick. Welcome back to LCPR. Thank you for your patience. You have the floor.
Senator Frentz, members of the commission, I do realize that I'm the last thing standing between us and freedom for the evening, so I'll try to be succinct. St. Paul Teachers Retirement Fund is the only independent pension plan in the state of Minnesota, and that's because we were the first teachers pension plan in Minnesota, founded in 1909. And the reason we remain the lone independent pension plan is our strong oversight and governance. And so I'll point out some of the differences between our plan and others. First, our board of trustees are 9 elected members and only 1 political appointee. So our plan is very much governed by its membership. Additionally, the oversight at the legislative and audit levels remains just as strong as any of the larger statewide plans. But in addition, we also have an investment consultant, so we manage our own assets internally, not at the state board. So we also hire outside investment firms to assist with that. So another difference between our plan and others. Overview of the plan, while we're the small plan, we do represent more than 13,000 total members. Of those, a little under 3,500 are active members. And I would point out this is probably the most important line on my slide. In order to maintain our independence, we need to maintain our active base. That allows us to make our employee and employer contributions. And so if this number were to fall below 3,000, that's when we would have a serious concern about the sustainability of the plan. But that's been level for the past 3 years, so we're in good health there. I'd also note the delta between our total members and our active is more than 10,000 members. So what happens to those 10,000 members when they're not actively teaching in St. Paul Public Schools? 2 things primarily. 1, they move, often to other districts outside of the metro area. And 2, they retire, again, often to greater Minnesota. So when we do a census of our membership, we found that they are in all 67 legislative districts in the state. So even though the title says St. Paul teachers, they are teachers in your districts as well. The plan financials, we are admittedly the least funded overall plan at 69.7% funded on an actuarial basis. I'd like to use market and say we're 72%, but do like to be conservative and right under that 70% barrier. We've heard plenty about sufficiencies and deficiencies. I would say the sufficiency of our plan is one of our strengths. So while we're kind of far behind in the race, we are making good lap times. And so at a 4.5% structural sufficiency, we project to be fully funded by 2039. And then on the kind of right-hand side, the cash flow requirement, this is something we measure that I think, because we manage our investments, is a little different than the other plans. Since we do have to actually sell investments on a regular basis to meet the pension payment requirements on a monthly basis, we do want to know how liquid our plan is. So we have to actually sell 3.6% on average of our assets every year to meet our monthly pension payments. So versus at the SBI, you're able to put in a redemption notice and not worry about kind of granular liquidity at the plan. Our overall report card can dig into kind of the history, how we got here. As I mentioned, we're 69.7% funded with the 4.5% sufficiency. And the reason we're at the current 70% funding, Senator Nelson's infamously titled Big Red Box. So we saw a deficiency for roughly 15 years from 2003 to 2018, where the St. Paul teacher employees were making their required contribution rates, but the funding for the employer contribution rates from St. Paul Public Schools was insufficient. It was below actually the employee contribution rates. And so the value of that big red box, if we would have made just a 0% sufficiency, would be $440 million today, and our funding ratio would be 92%. So as a result of that, our members are paying higher contributions and getting kind of a smaller normal cost than other members. As I mentioned, we do manage our investments, so I wanted to give you a performance update. Last year, we also returned 10.9%, so right in line with the state boards, even though we have a pretty significantly different investment mix. And then over longer periods of time, 3, 5, 10 years, we're top quartile or even decile plan over longer periods of time. So very strong investment performance. Additionally, following the reduction in our assumed rate of return from 7.5% to 7% in 2024, we conducted what's called an asset allocation study to make sure we're providing kind of the best returns for the lowest level of risk. And so since we stepped down the level of returns that were necessary, we were able to step down the risk. And in doing so, we were able to, for a 6.7% reduction in expected returns, we're able to lower our risk by 16%, and then our tail risk, so when markets crash, by more than 20%. So this will help smooth out our funding ratio volatility going forward because we have less investment risk within the portfolio. Additionally, I want to assure everyone that we are meeting our statutory requirements. So our investment consultant does review the statutory requirements every time we do a performance review. So as of the end of the fiscal year, we were in compliance with all of the statutory requirements. Worth noting, when we de-risked, we actually took some of the risk out here. So the third bullet down, that we can have no more than 85% invested in stocks and other investments. Our previous allocation, we were at about 80%, so a market move could put us close to that border. Now we're at about 70%, so we've been able to dial risk away there. And then additionally, the maximum of 20% in any investment strategy, when we increased our allocation to fixed income, we couldn't fully allocate that to our current managers, so we did have to add some diversification in our investment managers so we wouldn't exceed that limitation. Kind of mentioned that our members had helped fund the improvements in our funding ratios and our contributions, as well as increased contributions from the state. And the way they did that was taking a lower annual increase. So our members currently receive a 1% annual increase and have at times taken a 0% annual increase. So we're joint lowest of any of the plans in the state currently. And we all know that inflation has been significant over the past handful of years. And as a result of those reductions in the annual increase for our members, they've actually felt the inflation hit the most. So of the 4 major plans, ours have roughly 5 percentage points less purchasing power than the other plans. So with that, our kind of board and staff put together legislative principles. Kind of let's start with the principle before we start trying to define policies. And with that, kind of the first primary goal, maintaining benefit security. This is the do no harm. At 70% funded, we don't have room to take a step back and decrease our funding. So the first thing we always are going to make sure is that we maintain our benefit security and the current trajectory to be fully funded by 2038. Secondly, we've seen other plans get benefit improvements. We've noted that our active and retiree members have had kind of lower improvements. And so we would ask to get to parity with the other Minnesota pension plans. And then finally, if everything turned out perfectly and we were able to have benefit improvements that were funded, that's when we would start looking at where we could improve the plan beyond where kind of the basic standards that we've set for the other plans in the state. So with that, our priorities. I think it's well understood that St. Paul teachers sacrificed last year to help fund a benefit improvement for TRA teachers and their career rule. That followed a benefit improvement that we received 2 sessions ago in a 62 and 30 rule for our teachers. But I think that misconstrued the disparity that was in place in the plans beforehand. So while we were trying to get TRA teachers even on a career rule basis, it overlooked the fact that our teachers had a lower base benefit to start. And so the big difference there is our teachers have that 1% annual increase. TRA teachers are on a path to a 1.5% annual increase. And so that created a 2% normal cost delta between the 2 plans. Went through the career benefits. And so at the end of the day, our teachers are now contributing more, 9% of pay, to receive a smaller benefit at a 10% normal cost than TRA teachers that are contributing 8% for an 11.64% normal cost. So to close that gap, we'd propose a 1.5% annual increase for our members and reducing employee contributions by 1%. So the total cost to provide that parity would be $12 million per year or 3.7% of pay. I would note that this is actually the area where layered amortization has most impacted our plan. When we ran those cost estimates last year, would have cost only 2.1% of pay or $6.8 million for the COLA alignment. And so we've seen that increase by more than 30% due to the amortization methodology. And with that, I would entertain questions.
Thank you, Mr. Tencick. I got a couple comments, but Representative O'Driscoll, Representative.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Mr. Tencick, you said something that caught my attention. I've been processing it through most of your comments. You said that every year you need to sell from your asset base about 3.6% of that asset base to be able to cover the pension promises and payments. I want to explore that a little bit more with you because you're the Chief Investment Officer as well for this. I think you're well suited to answer the question. I'm not quite sure how to phrase it, so work with me on this. When you are saying that you have to sell 3.6% of your assets to meet that, is it because you don't have enough cash flow coming in from other investments to be able to make the full obligation payment throughout the 12-month period of time to teachers?
Mr. Tencick.
Representative O'Driscoll, Chair Friends. That's correct. So our total contributions, so the employer contributions, state supplemental aids, add up to $83 million per year. Our pension payments that are going out are $127 million. So $44 million we have to come up with during the course of the year to make those pension payments. So we can't just use the contributions, send them back out the door. So that's where we do have to build a portfolio that's liquid enough that we can sell on a regular basis to fund that. And mentioned we did some de-risking. That was one area that we improved. So our increase in fixed income, kind of at current interest rates, it covers about 1.6% of that 3.6. And before we did our rebalancing, it was only about 0.3%. So we have been able to use kind of higher interest rates to create a lot of that liquidity, and now we have less risk of or forced selling or required selling to meet the pension obligations.
Representative O'Driscoll.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for that clarification, Mr. Tencick. The other part that then becomes the next logical question is because you have to plan accordingly for that 3.6% need every year, it means that you're not able to balance your portfolio for higher potential returns because you need to keep that short end safer. And so I'm just wondering if there was a way that, what would it cost, what would it take to be able to get you up and over that hump so that you'd be closer to cash flow? So you could put that investment risk and that investment return out there a little bit further instead of having to front load it with so much cash, because that's just killing you. I'd have to believe.
Thank you, Representative. Excellent question. Mr. Tencick.
So Representative Driscoll, Senator Frentz, it's not a hindrance. So there's kind of a couple of methodologies. So we have pretty good insight of when those cash flows will come in and go out. And so through kind of our mature private equity portfolio, we receive regular distributions. So we know, like on a quarterly basis, we're going to receive enough cash that we won't have to sell anything. It actually provides an opportunity as well. So this gives us an opportunity to trim overweights, so things that have performed well. So we can rebalance those down at kind of natural occurring points rather than more subjective temporal basis. So well, it is a liquidity constraint. It also provides an opportunity to rebalance without having to do paired trades. So we're able to do that at a lower cost. And additionally, we employ what's called an overlay. So we have a manager that looks at our underlying cash balances, and it purchases derivatives to give us the return of a 60-40 portfolio. So we are able to get a synthetic return equal to be fully invested, even though we do have to have cash reserves on the side.
Representative O'Driscoll.
Yeah, Mr. Chair and Mr. Tencick, this is my final question on this. So that makes really good sense when the market's performing well to rebalance the portfolio and take the profits from that or take the returns and put those in the front end of that. Let's just turn that around, right? What happens if we get a 25% correction in the market that sustains for 2 or 3 years because of a major unforeseen pandemic or, you know, the other world event that just from time to time in our world happens? How does that affect your ability to be able to stay on track?
Mr. Tencick.
Representative O'Driscoll, Senator Frentz, I'd maybe reference the slide that showed our rebalancing. So we have plenty of liquidity in the portfolio through publicly traded equities and fixed income. So in the event that markets do turn over, we can sell equities at a loss, which may be unfortunate, but also that's when our fixed income tends to grow and increase in value. And so that's another area of liquidity, which includes government bonds, corporate fixed income. So we have approximately 80% of our portfolio in liquid investments at any given time that could sell kind of in all market conditions, even in kind of post-great financial crisis.
Thank you.
Representative O'Driscoll, you're good. Other member questions for Mr. Tencick? Seeing none, thank you, Mr. Tencick. And I want to just note, you know, the flexibility of St. Paul teachers at the end of last session. That's something that members of the LCPR will remember. Thank you for that. To be continued. Members, that's the end of the presentations. We have a couple housekeeping items. Senator Seeberg is excused tonight. She has mandatory firefighter training. Want to thank the staff and say, you know, buckle up. It's going to be a great year, but welcome aboard. We have also got a thank you to Representative O'Driscoll and Senator Pappas, who were on the Pension Commission at 2018. What you heard tonight, folks, is a report from our plans that says this is the best funding status we've had in the year since 2018 shared sacrifice. And as the two of you were both part of that, I think you deserve a little bit of a tip of the cap. Hopefully keep that up. Members, next meeting we're going to have Tuesday, March 3rd. Tentatively, we want to hear the bill proposed by the state auditor's fire relief. So if you have thoughts on that, want to invite members to attend any of the meetings that we have. The staff sort of runs a meeting. Hopefully, Senator Howe, Representative O'Driscoll, Representative Lilly, we can get together with staff on a regular basis. But any member of LCPR, welcome to jump in there if you want to attend or propose any particular questions. With that, seeing nothing further, we are adjourned. Thank you.